Welcome to On the Rec Yard, Women's Prison Podcast, where we are live on the rec yard every Wednesday night.
Hey, y'all. It is Wednesday night, and we are on the Rec Yard, Women's Prison Podcast. I'm Marcy Marie.
I'm Tunchi.
We're backed in a corner.
Backed in a corner. And honey, I think the microwave, you have to microwave.
Some people call this a microphone, Toonch. We didn't have these on the Rec
Honey,
Yard.
I've had a long day. I've had a long
Like this?
day. So you're supposed to turn it like this. Boop.
Okay.
All right,
You read somewhere that?
Yeah, I did.
Well, I trust what you read. Okay.
Well, let's try it your way and see if it look.
Well, y'all, good Lord. Good golly. It's the attorney. It's the attorney calling us on the Rec Yard.
Okay, wow.
We have breaking news. You
We
want to
have
answer
breaking
it?
it. Go ahead and answer it. We'll let Marcy deal with that.
Hi.
Jesus.
And we can announce that to our folks. Can I put you on speakerphone, Kevin?
Oh, okay, great. Do it, Kevin. You're on the Rec Yard.
Kevin Homiak is on the rec. You're on the Rec Yard, and normally men don't come to rec with us, so this is kind of new.
This is a really special opportunity.
Yes, for sure.
I'm a long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah.
Thrilled to be joining you.
Yes. So we have some breaking news for those of you that have been keeping up with the Heat lawsuit against the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. You know that our amazing attorney team filed a preliminary injunction. It was a hearing that happened this summer. We were here in Austin testifying, giving facts, and the Judge Pittman, the federal judge, he seemed hopeful. I had hope that the judge would come back and say, yes, this is an emergency situation. And we need to make sure we put climate control because people are losing their lives. And he did come back with a ruling today. Will you walk us through that, Kevin?
Yeah, so I think the first and most significant finding is that he said we met our burden of establishing that the current practice of housing nearly 100,000 individuals in unair-conditioned facilities is likely violating the Eighth Amendment's prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment. So that's huge. He said we have a likelihood of success of proving the Eighth Amendment violation because of the number of people who have died, because of the number of people who've had heat-related injuries. He said that we have shown that every TDCJ inmate in an unair-conditioned cell, I'm just quoting from the opinion now, faces a substantial risk of death or serious bodily injury from the extreme heat absent installation of air conditioning. He said that excessive heat is likely serving as a form of unconstitutional punishment for the folks housed in unair-conditioned housing. And he anticipates that we will ultimately succeed on the merits and foresees us, quote, being entitled to permanent relief in the form of expeditious installation of permanent air conditioning. So that's huge. Those are all, first of their kind rulings. The key, the key bad news, arguably, is that he says no temporary air conditioning, basically because he is concerned that the efforts to install temporary air conditioning will ultimately undercut and undermine the permanent relief that he says is necessary, the permanent air conditioning. And in part because of a quirk with the Prison Litigation Reform Act, which says that preliminary or temporary injunctive relief only lasts 90 days. So it's sort of this tough spot to say, well, I can't really order them to do something for 90 days that they're not even going to really be able to get up and running. for 90 days. And so even though he technically denied the motion itself, which sought temporary air conditioning to sort of preserve the status quo until we got to the full trial for permanent relief, he is making it clear that as far as the claims, the Eighth Amendment claim, we have established a likelihood of success on that. We've established irreparable harm. We have established that this is an unconstitutional, likely serving as an unconstitutional form of punishment. He just thinks that the temporary remedy will ultimately, temporary air conditioning will ultimately undercut the longer term remedy. So I think the other thing that he did is, he made it abundantly clear. I mean, it's a 91-page opinion, so it's extremely thorough. And he made it abundantly clear that air conditioning is the only appropriate remedy for this constitutional violation.
Okay. So
it's a lot of good news. I would say this is over. I mean, this in my mind is an overwhelming victory. I don't think there's any question about that. He agreed with us on, he was very sort of thoughtful, and you're quoted in there several times, Marcy, from your testimony. Charlie's quoted in there. So it's a really good opinion, worth it. And it's dense. It's 91 pages, but it's a really incredible opinion.
I could tear up a little bit because, I'm just thinking about how many people this kind of news directly affects, Kevin. And I know I talked to you and your team. Kevin is part of an amazing team of attorneys that have come together to fight for this. And you all did such a beautiful job of presenting the facts and really pulling out the exact stories and exact expertise from people from around the world about what this kind of heat does to people. And for me, though, right now, the amount of people that are just going to feel hope, that we're going to have people on the inside crying and thrilled, and people that are fighting literally for their lives in the summertime. And it's not, it's not written in stone yet, but this is the federal judge and 91 pages of saying, you all did your due diligence and met the quota, so to speak. We're so appreciative of you and your entire team and all of the work and late nights and thoughtful approach that you've taken to working with system impacted led organizations like ours. Truly such a pleasure knowing you and working with you. And we just really can't thank you enough.
Well, the feeling is 100% mutual. It's been such a privilege and such an honor to be able to hear your stories and everyone else's stories, and do whatever we can to help you tell them, not just in court, but in public and obviously in our filings. And this is the fight is not close to over, but this is a huge win, and it's an incredible statement to have a federal court judge say that this is unconstitutional. And so we absolutely could not have done it without you and everyone else on the inside rooting us on and sending in letters and you getting up there and testifying and having the courage to do that. And it was a remarkable showing across the board. And the fight continues, and we will do everything we can to get that trial for permanent air conditioning as quickly as possible.
Kevin, thank you so much. You called not knowing you were going to be talking to.
It was funny. You showed up on LinkedIn, and I thought you may be. I had it in the back of my mind that you have Recyard on Wednesdays because I watch y'all. I like supporting y'all, and you're such a great show. So I thought you may not answer because you were on it. So it was a nice surprise.
Oh, Marcy was grabbing that phone.
Yeah, I saw the name and I said, "Well, I think we should take this. I wonder if he'll come and talk to our folks too." So we surely appreciate you, and we will just stay on. You'll let us know. You're always so good at you and your team with communication, and we'll be here ready for the next steps.
Okay. Well, we'll talk soon.
Okay.
Great to talk to both of you. Enjoy the rest of your podcast.
Yeah.
I'm saying
Thank
hi to
you.
everybody listening and watching.
Thank you, Kevin. Bye.
All right. Talk soon.
Bye bye. He's such a gem
Yeah.
of a human being. And honestly, his entire team, all of the folks, the entire legal team.
Yeah, they did that.
Yes, they did.
And it was a tough trial and it was a tough hearing. It was, if people go back and look at what we said that day when we came home and we're doing the podcast, we were hurt and devastated listening to all that testimony, listening to all that bullshit, all those lies, all that. And it's been a long time coming. And, and I know what he's saying. It's like, we still got a road ahead because even once the federal judge rules, there could be appeals and other stuff, but like to have that finally stated after all these years, right?
A federal judge wrote a 91-page document saying, you're right, the heat is killing people. And you're right, it's unconstitutional to house people that way. And yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, and we were finding out with you.
Right, we just found out.
I opened the email right before we hopped on, and I was like, oh, Jen, it's something, but it was like a forever amount of pages, and I didn't know. My mom. Hi, Mama. Yeah, and then he called, and I said, well, we got to take it. We have to take this call.
Well, honey, and I'm trying to post something right now on my little
Yeah,
page.
it's really amazing. It really is amazing. Chanel Peaches, I love you so much. Chanel was at the court. She was at the court too.
She was sitting there just refolding and folding that little uniform that you brought. If y'all haven't seen, you took a picture of that in this apartment, remember?
I do remember.
Chanel was just folding it and refolding it and folding it. And
It was
refolding
stressy. It was stressy. Being in that courtroom, listening to not only what we know to be true from our lived experience, but to hear experts bring the data, really validating what we already know. And then watching the Texas Department of Criminal Justice get up there and just lie, just directly try to negate all of the facts that have been presented in such a way that they even submitted a false document. We haven't talked about that.
Honey, but this article came out fast. There it is.
It's in the news already.
Extreme heat without AC in Texas prisons is unconstitutionally cruel punishment, judge rules. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something that for all this is a public announcement to the other organizations, policy organizations, advocacy organizations that refused to sign on to this lawsuit and left it up to system impacted people and their family members, and the sole disability organization, Coalition of Texans with Disabilities, because those people understand the intersection of incarceration and disability. Praise God that we have the courage that other fucking people don't have. So I wanted to use some more profanity, and I'm working hard not to, because this is another example of when people diminish our lived experience and our work and the way that we do things and the way we say things and the way that we operate and the way that we do what we do as formerly incarcerated people and our loved ones, our family members, because there were 2 other organizations involved in the lawsuit that work with family members of those who are incarcerated, and what a great job they did too. The burden of this was left to us.
Yes.
We were left to ourselves to do the scary thing and the brave thing as usual. And look at the outcome. Where are y'all's wins? Where are y'all's outcomes for our fucking people? I just wanted to acknowledge that because there were a lot of folks that were approached to join this lawsuit that said, no, don't think it's worth it. Don't think it's a great legal approach, yada, yada, yada. And we said, baby, it's balls to the wall, ride or die. Let's do it. Fuck it.
Well, and we did meet. Like, there's a risk that comes with a group of formerly and currently incarcerated folks when we get together and sue. There are risks involved. We have people under direct supervision, like myself, on parole, or our inside members. There was concern about retaliation, and we really did have to consider that. But when it came down to is at the guidance of our inside members, our most vulnerable, they want to fight. They want to fight.
They do.
And we're here, So for those of you, I see a lot of folks that are just hopping on. You will want to go back when this show's over and listen to the phone call we just had with our attorney. Kevin Homiak is one of the attorneys that represented us in the lawsuit against the Texas Department of Criminal Justice regarding the dangerous and, quite frankly, deadly temperatures inside of Texas prisons. So it's an ongoing lawsuit. This summer, a preliminary injunction was filed. Just a quick recap. And we had a hearing. The burden of proof was met that it is unconstitutional. The preliminary injunction, the judge wrote a 91-page response saying that you have merit.
Mm-hmm.
I do deem this unconstitutional. I do see that people are dying. The only resolution is permanent air conditioning inside of Texas prisons. Now, the lawsuit is not over yet, but the judge over the lawsuit ruled this 91-page, and we know things are going to be happening. There's going to be appeals. It's not for those of y'all that have loved ones inside, and for our family inside, and it's probably not this summer, but it's coming, and it's coming across the state. It's coming statewide.
Right. That's what he said. You were able to show that this affects every single person incarcerated in TDCJ, right? Because lawsuits in the past have only been for specific plaintiffs that have been able to sue. So what our lawsuit was doing, which a lot of other legal experts and attorneys said, don't really think we don't want to sign on. It's probably not going to go anywhere. This was the approach to show that our members, all of our members in even if we have one member in one unit, this covers. And so all the family groups are like, we all had all the units covered in terms of members in our organization, and the judge saw it, heard it, and honored it.
Yeah.
Because it was so egregious and so obvious, the harm that was happening to incarcerated Texans.
We were going to just hang out tonight. We didn't know this was really breaking news. It really did just happen. And I'm so glad it happened here on the Rec Yard. Where we could share it with you. I saw an email. We had another meeting, and we came back from that a great meeting with some incredible ladies. And we came back from that meeting. I glanced at my email and I was like, "Oh, the lawyer emailed something," and then we went live. And then he called.
Let's do it.
I said, "Oh, he's calling. I guess I better see what it is." Yeah.
I'm trying to tell everybody right now because I'm super
excited. We haven't
excited.
even got to tell our Lioness team, except if you're watching. That's why they need to watch.
I'm trying to put it in.
That's why our team needs to watch. Yeah. This was Kevin, the attorney, spoke about us showing up as formerly incarcerated folks and kind of having to relive some of that. And y'all know we're good at that. Jen and I are pretty good at that. But that lawsuit was, the preliminary injunction hearing, it was tough. It was really tough.
It was. Listening to all that was really hard to hear. And I think it was not just listening to how these folks died, but to listen to the agency lie about it.
Yeah.
And try to blame people for what was the most outrage, and I think it was John, wasn't it, about the Benadryl?
Yeah.
Oh, he overdosed on Benadryl. Get out of here. Get out of here with your foolishness and your
John Anthony Southards, who was killed from the heat, from extreme temperatures. And the agency tried to say he overdosed on Benadryl. And the experts came back and said, that's not what happened here.
It's not true.
Yeah. John Lamberton says he'll share on the Polunsky page.
Yay.
Thank you. Yeah. Please share. This is excellent news. And it like John had said a little bit earlier in the chat. And I think Eric is like, yeah, well, it's going to be a while. And it is. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be this summer, y'all, because the agency is going to fight.
Right.
So we have to, we're in this for the long haul, but it's huge news.
It's a huge win right now.
And I think that Kevin called really so that we would understand the depth of a federal judge ruling something, deeming something in a 91-page comment saying that something is unconstitutional. Housing people in these temperatures is a violation of the U.S. Constitution, and a federal judge said it. And that's huge.
Do you know how long we've waited for someone to just say it?
Yeah. Just
and I know that there's been lawsuits in the past, and I know that we've had some good judges in the past really try to navigate, the very specific ways that you have to litigate things. But this is the first time it's ever been, everybody, the whole thing, it's wrong. We got to do something. And and I remember during the hearing when the judge was like, I know that you're not going to sit here and tell me that I can't rule this to be unconstitutional, essentially, because you don't have the money to fix it. What? I know you don't have the money to fix it. I don't know what needs to happen in the state of Texas for you to resolve that, but I can certainly rule if this is unconstitutional. You being able to fix it and pay for it has no bearing on whether it's wrong.
Right.
And I believe he saw that. He obviously did, right?
He did see it. And in the middle of that hearing, which I haven't even talked about, it's been busy, y'all. It's been busy. You may have remembered last summer that the agency did submit a document that the judge immediately identified as looking a little fishy. Yeah. He was suspicious that it was falsified. And he ordered an internal investigation within the agency to investigate. It was a temperature log. And the temperature log grossly differed from actual outside temperatures in that area that week. Upon investigation, TDCJ did find out that it was falsified. They held on to that information for months. And our team had to say, hey, and that's still kind of pending. Hey, we know this happened. What's the punishment? Is there a punishment? Are they going to be held accountable? At least called out. I guess that's what we're doing. I mean, we know it happens. You've sat in a room and done it. You've falsified documents under direct distress.
Yeah.
Under the authority that you
of
were
risk
under.
management.
Yeah. I mean, we know that happens.
Just fill it out. It's blank. Just fill it out. I don't have time to keep running around to get people's signatures.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to make sure we're answering. You're not great at handling
Honey,
the
I'm trying to tell. Look how bad I look right now.
Baby, both of us look rough. We're here. The rec yard is taking place in Tunchi's Corner, and her lighting is terrible. I'll tell you that. And just know that I drove in from Dallas. We had to be at a press conference at 9:30 this morning at the Capitol. Left my house 4 a.m. And so this is what happens but I want to make sure and your mouse is crazy. I don't even know how to work this bad boy.
This is a mouse and you have to move it around the arrow moves.
Well, thank you, Noah, for watching from LinkedIn. And yes, this is about the long game. And I think that work in the criminal justice reform is about long game. We know often when we're talking about change that, yeah, I mean, we were at a press conference this morning for voting rights, for reenfranchisement of voters in Texas like me who are on parole. If the state says I'm safe enough to be out here in our communities and working and paying taxes, shouldn't I have a voice in what goes on in these communities? So we were there talking about that. We know that's a long game issue as well. Brenda, we see you. Thank you so much. Life is watching for. Let me go back to Brenda's comment, because she said, thank you for what you do for our loved ones. And I just, Jennifer and I and all of our Lioness team, we feel like all of those folks are our loved ones. We certainly have our loved ones in there, the ones that we did time with, that we left behind, or for me, my brother-in-laws. But we certainly have our loved ones, but we feel like all of them are our loved ones. So we're right there with you. We feel like not only are we formerly incarcerated people, but we're a family of incarcerated people too. Life, thank you for watching from YouTube. We're really hoping to get everybody over to YouTube. Was the hearing filmed? So we weren't allowed to have we weren't even allowed to have our phones out, and it was no media. So it wasn't filmed. Now, I have the transcription if you wanted to read it. You could message me on any of my social media platforms. You can send me a DM, and if you want me to email it to you, that's public and I'm allowed to share it. So, but no, it wasn't filmed. Yeah.
Who were we with that her phone went off? Crystal, if you're here, honey, remember when your phone went off and we were like, get up, get out. You're not even supposed to have it out.
They were walking around like the bailiff was walking around, even checking for phones. So like you couldn't even send a quick text, or it was really tricky. I didn't get any. My phone was put up normally. So yeah, Ray, Eric says it was played out really well. And they waited till the legislation started. And that's kind of what we thought was, once it was not happening within a couple months, we thought, think they're going to wait till session
to see what's going on.
But now these legislators, I'm just telling you, there's legislation in the building, in the Capitol building right now. And now there's a 91-page comment that Lioness is quoted in, my testimony's quoted in, that we can show legislators. We have it.
Yep.
And we can say, oh, well, this federal judge is already saying this is unconstitutional. Where's the money, Texas? We might not even have to wait for a hearing for the final appeals and all of that. It might not even matter, because it could go into effect. These legislators might say, well, what are we going to do?
Put the money over and avoid all that. Here's the money, and just do it.
Maybe, I don't know. And then I love this. Rand says this will end up being nationwide. And you've said from the beginning, if Texas prison system changes, other states will follow. And what we know about big changes in southern prisons especially is they do look at each other like, oh, we can keep doing it because they're doing it still.
Right.
Alabama's still doing it.
They've got that big, massive prison system. So whatever they're doing, I'm sure is fine.
Yeah. So I think you're right. It will set precedents for other states to follow. And I think just on top of the lives that will quite literally be saved from this, the distress that will be saved from people also, physically, emotionally, mentally. I remember not even being able to write home during the summer sometimes, because I was in such survival mode, and I didn't want to give that energy to stay. Yeah. Pretty amazing.
I'm trying to tell everybody right now.
Yes, Haley, and she's texting all of our team because they don't know. We literally were just finding out. normally we wouldn't like come live, but he happened to call. And I felt like, and he agreed to, and Kevin's a great team player. He said, long time listener, first time caller. So if you're just
Good
hopping
job.
on,
It's a good
make
job,
sure
Kevin.
you hit the beginning of our podcast where you can actually hear from our attorney and his actual remarks. Yeah. So excited. What needs to be done now is take away TDCJ's ability to use cool beds as a substitute. Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of what Jen was talking about earlier, is that this lawsuit is different than previous lawsuits. It proved that the heat inside Texas prisons is damaging to everyone, not a select group of people who have certain medical conditions or are over a certain age or are vulnerable because of this or that, but every single person. That the document that the federal judge said, everyone, it's dangerous to everyone. It's dangerous to the 18-year-old, otherwise healthy person entering the system. It's dangerous to their health as well. So it's huge. Yeah, it's really huge, really exciting. I see Hannah is on, and what a compliment coming from someone wrongfully convicted that gets out of prison and gives back to the ladies inside in such a way. So, what a compliment for you to thank us, because for sure, thank you to Hannah. And I'm sure there's a connection to her ministry and the work that they do. And we will say, when you donate items and money to her ministry, we get it, because I was in there getting those packages that Hannah sent.
Those were great.
Yeah.
I remember the first time.
Yeah.
I said, this is new. This came from Hannah. Like, we all knew. I mean,
When it had the good hair tie,
yeah.
I said, oh, this was Hannah. This was
Hannah,
somebody who
didn't
has been in here.
Mhm.
When we got a shampoo and a conditioner and a comb that would go through all kinds of people's hair and a hair
Yeah.
tie.
We knew who it came
Yeah,
from.
we knew it was someone that knew, for sure. So thank you. Also, you can reach. Are you looking at my green suit? I wore a green suit to the press conference today. You don't have to. Yeah. My link tree at marcymarie.com. That website has a link to Hannah's ministry as well, so you can find that there. Lady Amnesty, thank you so much. No, really exciting stuff for sure. Thank you, Jerry. There is a big storm heading our way. My daddy already warned me. He thought I was driving back to Dallas tonight.
Oh, boy.
Your camera, if you move quickly, it blurs, but you just sit like an old man, so you never notice, but I'm all over the place and it blurs.
But this camera is an upgrade from the camera that you have, though. So what are you talking about?
My camera does it too.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. We did. It was a great press conference at the Capitol today, and House Bill 590 is that the bill. There's two House bills that have to do with voting rights.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them is the companion to the Senate Bill 631. Mm-hmm. And that bill is basically, as soon as you get out of prison, your voting rights are restored. So people that are on parole and probation can vote. Right now, I can't vote until 2030. Mm-hmm. And then there's another House bill that Representative Busey is also introducing, and it is simply letting people know
that you can vote.
Because guess what? In Texas, as soon as your sentence is over,
You're
whether
right.
you did that in prison or whether you get off parole, you can vote. But our population doesn't know that. We keep telling them, Jen.
They don't believe because they're scared.
They are scared because people get arrested.
It's wild. Right?
Yeah.
This and this is exciting, right? Because I really loved how Representative Busey,
that's what I said.
It's not what
I
you said.
mispronounced the man's name. And Jen, I'm at the press conference in front of the Austin State Capitol symbol, and the cameras are all in front of me, and I'm feeling myself in my new green suit, and
Not the green.
the green suit. I did it. The lime green, avocado-y looking. I got it from TikTok
Guacamole.
shop. Guacamole suit. It's my
Your guac
guacamole
suit.
suit. Yes. So I'm feeling myself, but before I go up there, I say, Jen, how do I pronounce his name again? Like, say it one more time for me. And you said it.
Yeah.
And then I got up there and
Busey.
still messed it up.
And you said Bussy.
And I glanced over. I glanced at Jen because I knew I was messing it up.
No, you
as
said
I
Boosie.
said it. I said Boosie.
And you said we represented Boosie. And Marcy looked at me right when she said his name. And I was like,
She
"'Cause
was
you practiced it,
she was
honey.
laughing at
You
me.
practiced
while
it.
I'm while I'm at the press conference speaking at the podium in front of these state senator, state representative, cameras in my face. You laughed at me.
Because I'm thinking, this man is literally going out on a limb as a Republican to really fight for some real voting rights. And you called him Boosie.
I mispronounced the man's name.
It's Busey. We appreciate him, though.
We do appreciate him. And he was so nice too, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He seemed genuine. Of course, I'm at the Capitol a lot. I'm not going to talk bad about politicians.
Right. It's
hard to
It's
tell though
interesting,
if you
though,
know.
sometimes
You don't know
it's
if they're
really
just politicianing
or they really care.
or they
It's hard
really
to tell.
care. But I think if you file this kind of legislation, you do
Yeah.
care. Angela says she's been off paper for 25 years and still doesn't vote, but you can. You can if you
Can.
want.
You sure
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. John says anything but white. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I had been home. Brittany and I had been home. She got home 8 months before me. We posted something wearing white, and Chanel Peaches Jones roasted us so
that
hard.
ass. Roast that ass.
She roasted us. Yeah, it was wild. Melissa Ann, thank you. And thank y'all for watching and all of the good things, supporting us and being in community with us. And okay, now we're just checking emails. See, we were telling people you were on your phone like, I got to tell people about the lawsuit. I got to give them the update.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened either.
I wanted to see the email that the attorney sent you, and then I got caught up.
Yeah, then you were just literally checking emails. Totally. We're at rec. There's no email.
Honey, I
checking
am
at rec.
exhausted.
We
Look
are
at me.
exhausted. We are.
I had a long day. We had to run up
What
there
time
and do
did
that.
you get up this morning? It's almost like you had to drive down from Fort Worth or something.
No, right?
You woke up right in Austin, right down the street from where you had to
Long
be.
week.
It
It's
has been a long week.
A lot of long emotional week. And I got up early and went and met y'all, and then had to do that real quick and run back over here and get to my desk and work. You know.
People do.
But you brought me a hamburger. That was real nice.
I did. We went out to oh wait, forever ago there was a bill to improve medical check. Haley, that was our bill. Yes, there was a bill, and it was last session. And it was a bill that it would make medical chain less obtrusive and less damaging to incarcerated women. We didn't get everything we wanted with that bill. I think they changed a little bit, right?
Well, I think they certainly did not want to address the handcuffing and the toilets on the bus, but they did increase telemed's access so you didn't have to go on your trip. And there for a while, and I remember we were super excited. We were hearing from women that they were at Plain State, they were eating, they were sleeping on an actual mattress.
Because previously, y'all, the ladies would have to go from Gatesville, Texas, down to near Galveston, Texas, and it would be a 8-9 hour for 2-day trip because that you would have like a layover
Mhm.
because the bus would stop at all these prisons. It's not like a straight through. And they would stop at the layover at Plain State and not sleep on a mattress, not get fed. Like they were
Mhm.
really treated aggressively.
Yeah.
The strip searches were done very intrusively. That's enough. No visuals. The strip searches were rough. Anybody who's been through Plain State that came into the system through Plain State knows about those strip searches. And our people were having to go through it just to go on medical chain.
Yeah.
And I don't mean a regular squat, cough, bend over strip search. I mean a very invasive, inappropriate, stop with the hand gestures.
It was bad, y'all. And things got better. And we even got on a live and told people about how this is how this worked. It got better. And then guess what happened as usual? When oversight leaves something and people forget, it goes back to the dookie way, the shitty way that procedures happen. Like we always knew, remember when, hey, we're not doing this anymore. We're going to be checking IDs and going you're going to line up at the door this way. And we already knew, okay, well, we're going to do this for about 2 or 3 weeks, whatever this procedure is. And then the staff are going to get tired and lazy, and then they'll go back to the old way of doing it. It's just how it is. And I think a lot of our medical transport bill, some great things did come out of it, but there's definitely some follow-up. They just need new buses on top of that.
Yes.
For real.
On that bill, though, I want to say, and I see you, John Lamberton, I want to talk about that too, but in the comments, but I want to say those, you're just yawning right
Honey,
on the
I'm so
Rec Yard.
tired. I'm finna get cussed out. You remember you go to rec with somebody and you just be like, Diane, if you're watching, because Diane used to do this to me. Oh, you're tired. You didn't want to come out here. Like, oh, you're not even listening or paying attention. Honey, I'm tired. I've worked. You know,
in the library. You were a librarian. Please stop. Get off the gas. You get off the gas. I was coming in from Host Squad making my rec dates while you were in the library. I'm tired from work all week in the library. Please stop. Now I want to finish my thought.
Please. Sorry.
I want to remind you about that warden. When we were testifying on that medical chain bill, that warden got up, a warden for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice got up and led the legislators to believe that the toilet was behind a door on a bus.
She did. She did do that. And then guess what? Me and Marcy and Mandy and Justin, sweet Justin, we went around that entire building. We went to every single office and passed out pictures from the bus. I pulled them off the internet. Yeah. And I knew, well, these are the prison bus inside pictures of the seating, the toilet. And we just passed it out. Marcy said, I need to talk to your chief of staff. Oh, hello. Can I talk to that lady back there? And you went in there and talked to all the women staffers. And they were like, what in the hell is this?
Yeah, because being handcuffed to someone in the middle of an open bus with everybody, including male staff on the bus, can see you changing a tampon, things need to change. And that lady just acted like there was a door.
Oh, there's the door. And we were sitting there like, what the hell is she talking about?
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, okay. And it's like the people, I call them the people, legislators, like, they only know what the agency tells them. Now, do I always think that they believe us totally? No. But I think when you have competing information, you do start to at least say, well, wait a minute. Well, something doesn't seem right. These people were incarcerated. The agency says they do this, but they're like, I literally did not do that.
Yeah. And I drove from El Paso to tell you.
Right. Like I drove all the way from El Paso to just lie.
Right. I mean, we have people coming in from all over the state to just for something that they're not getting paid to do.
I remember it was last session, wasn't it? Or the one before we had a bill on individual treatment plans. And Dr. Allen, TDCJ got up there and said, we do ITP plans, we pass them out, they're updated, blah, 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 right? So then formerly incarcerated people get up there, including myself, are like, I saw my ITP one time and it hadn't been updated since I was 18. It said I still needed to get a high school diploma. I was 38 with a college degree. So it was just like we were up there saying like, no, that's not true. And we didn't get those things and we would have liked them and we think they'd be helpful. And sweet little Dr. Allen, I love that lady so much. She said, I want TDCJ to come back up here. And she said, so you're saying these people's experience that they're lying? And he said, I'm not saying they're lying, but it's definitely not the truth. And she goes, so you mean to tell me all these people that just said they came from all over the state would come up here to lie about ITPs? That seems weird to me. She was essentially saying that. Now, does that make sense that people would have taken off work to come all the way up here to lie about individual treatment plans?
To drive hours.
He was like, oh, I'm just saying that I don't know what their experiences were, but I know we don't do that.
TDCJ has called us liars, which is so interesting because we've never gotten caught submitting falsified documents in federal court, but we have been called liars by the agency because one person told your old boss we were a bunch of liars before she knew who she was.
That's
he was
true.
like, I work with them. That's not my experience with them.
Right.
She said, everything you just heard up there, they were all lying. It's just a bunch of liars.
Yeah, ex-cons. You know how ex-cons are.
Ex-cons.
And it's wild, right? Because there are a couple of people that we communicate with that in the agency who are really, I would say, really great human beings that really believe in their work. We may not agree on everything, but they don't treat us that way. But there are definitely some, like that lady, that do. Straight up.
I'm not saying her name, but I want to. Starts with a K. John, I meant to highlight yours, and I'm highlighting Eric's response to yours. What you're talking about, how do I get up there? Here we go.
This is Marcy's first night to use a desktop computer.
This is weird. The mouse is weird.
Why?
I have an Apple mouse, so it's
bullshit
cuter than
Apple
this.
Stuff.
And if Apple, you want to sponsor our podcast,
it's great.
Know that I use all Apple products to host the podcast, and I love it. Have you heard the news about the incentives that are offering inside of TDCJ? Incarcerated folks are able to purchase TVs, beds, games, and such. So I don't know about like a purchasing, but what I do know is there's some incentive dorms being strategically placed.
Right. Yeah.
There's one at the Dr. Lane Murray unit. It's a dorm with foosball table, possibly a microwave, an ice machine. That's what the pictures at the board meeting showed.
And what was recently that report or news thing or something about somebody that was in an incentive dorm and beat the brakes off of somebody? And it was a video. It was like smuggled cell phone video, and it was two guys throwing down.
In the men's incentive dorm, and everybody was like, "Oh, they're fighting in the good kid dorm."
Like the faith-based dorm. The girls in the faith-based dorm are fighting. It's the same.
Yeah.
You can slap a coat of paint on something, but there's still mold underneath it, right? Like you're not dealing with any of the things.
So okay, I'm just going to tell you, because if I was locked up, I'd want to live in that dorm. But I also would be aware that I could never speak up for what's happening that's
Correct.
wrong in there while I was there. I couldn't make anybody real angry with too many grievances, or they wouldn't let me in.
You can't share food.
Honey, you're not getting in there in a women's prison. Tooch ain't living in there with that haircut, because what I know about the first batch of women that they put in the Lane Murray incentive dorm, it included 2 gender expansive people, 1 trans man, and 1 mask presenting lesbian woman. It was a woman like Tooch, all woman, who wore her hair mask presenting. And within a week, both of those women were put straight on out of that dorm.
Right on out.
So,
My hair actually looks pretty decent today.
well,
Silver.
yes, it's a whole dorm. It is a whole dorm. And it is for, it's for the good kids. It's for the good kids. It's also, it's for people that don't rock the boat.
Right.
That wasn't me. You could have grown a ponytail and been in there. I rocked the boat when I was in. There's no way they would have let me in that dorm.
I did like to do things. Somebody would have told on me.
Somebody would have told on you. You're right. So we have mixed feelings about that, right? Because I want better conditions for the folks inside, but I think better conditions are, everyone inside is worthy of better conditions in there. Every single person.
Right. And that's the problem. It's like, I understand giving people incentives to participate or do things, right? But I think for me, the hard time is a lot of these times these incentive dorms are paid through and refurbished or whatever through maybe well-intending, maybe not well-intended ministries that can get kind of weird and sticky and icky in terms of like participation then through a faith-based lens. And also the idea that, well, if the girls in SEG, they want to have decent air conditioning and accommodations and a clean shower, then they need to, well, honey, a lot of those people are down there for mental health behavior, right? Like manifestation of a disability or mental health crisis. So it does go back to this. I don't care what you did. I don't care how you're behaving. You deserve to
not live in temperatures that will kill you.
Right.
No. And I'm John's, if y'all can read the screen, he's got an excerpt from a letter that he received from an incarcerated individual excited about the incentive dorm. And if I was locked up and living in that dorm, I'd be excited too. I mean, I remember being locked up and being super excited when at the slightest thing, girl, at the slightest thing, when we got a rec, when it wasn't rec time and they called rec, or, I mean, I remember thinking, wow, they're so nice.
I remember how excited I was at Christmas when the little Mennonite people came and gave us a bag with 2 cookies in it.
Yeah.
And it was all they had, but they made those were homemade and they were nice to us, like genuinely. And I'm like, this hurts me. Like, this is so not common that it hurts me.
Do you remember ever feeling, and maybe you do or maybe you don't, because I know you had some bosses in the education building that individually treated you like a human. But for me, who didn't really work in that one-on-one environment with prison staff, whenever we would have someone randomly I don't know, look at me like a person, make eye contact with me.
Felt weird, right?
It felt, I remember tearing up and then getting furious with myself that I got emotional over being treated like a person in there, and sometimes when it's out of nowhere and unexpected and somebody does just something random, like when they say, how are you? And they really are asking, like, how are you?
Right.
And I think, I think they could go bigger. And you're right, John. Maybe this is something that will start out. I'm not like anti incentive dorm. I do want every person in there to be treated better. I want every person in there, to have air conditioning.
Well, and I want to say too, I just got real animated all of a sudden, is that when you, you create some type of also scarcity, and like, there's one incentive dorm and this is how many beds. And now it's like, almost like at commissary when there would be, hey, everybody, it's the holidays. We only have 20 pecan pies, and everybody's about to kill each other to get out the door to get a pecan, because it's not about the pecan pie, right? It's about creating some type of something that someone else is going to get that you're not going to get, that feels like a pleasure or a joy that's limited.
Yeah.
I remember that feeling. Maybe that's why it kind of bothers me, because I feel like it makes me feel panicked. Like, well, there's so many beds and there's just one dorm, and like, what does that mean? And how do I get to it? And I don't know. I don't like it. I don't. I appreciate that they enjoy them, but for me, it kind of stirs up other feelings.
I want to say this too, and it's something we've talked about, the difference between the ways that men incarcerated in Texas are disciplined compared to the ways that women are disciplined. And to be case-free for 2 years, when you're living on a unit that you can get cases for having an extra tampon or for using
hair tie on your wrist,
or hair tie on your wrist, which is a natural behavior for a lot of people with long hair in the free world, is to move their pony to their wrist, or a ponytail holder around your ground instant coffee bag, or maybe leaving your college book out, or maybe, just we got disciplinary cases. Like, it would have, even on my best behavior, I was still getting cases. I got a case. My first minor case was for a pair of shoes that were mine. Literally, I just didn't know where my property slip was. At Plain State, they didn't.
Your number was written in it?
Yeah, my number was written in it. Not only did I get a disciplinary case for those shoes, I bought them at Plain State. Plain State didn't care about looking at your property slips.
Don't care.
I get to Lane Murray. They all of a sudden care about property slips. My name and number are in the shoes. Not only did I get a case, I got them confiscated on a Friday after laundry was closed.
So you had no shoes?
No shoes for the entire weekend.
Oh my
And then
God.
I couldn't go anywhere. They wouldn't let me fall out to chow or anything else with no shoes. You couldn't go in your shower shoes. Yeah. It took me 3 months to get those tennis shoes back. And do you know how I got them back? I had to volunteer in property and work hauling people's property and helping the property boss go through things.
So did they give them back to you because they could prove that they were yours?
No, they gave them
just
back
didn't
to
care.
me because
And wrote you a property slip?
no, I didn't get a property slip.
So
They
you
just
were
gave them
back
back
in
to me.
the
Yeah.
Jesus.
So, oh yeah, sunburn when you work outside. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Destiny, I think the next time you come on here, we should have a whole, I don't know if this is
Just on one
liable or
sergeant?
not, but we should have a show on just one whole person.
Because I did look up, like, if we can use images that TDCJ posts about, they post a lot of officers. Some of those officers that they post, and they're getting their 10-year award or getting their whatever award, and they're shaking the warden's hand, and it's congratulations to Sergeant Cockrell.
Marcy looks right in the camera.
Because I have stories about that man, and he's not a nice person. He's not a good man, and does his job illegally. And I want to take that image and put it on my social media and say, hey, this guy right here, but it's like legalities are tricky.
Right. Well,
it's tricky. I can tell my truth.
Right.
And my story. I can say his name because it's the truth.
It's the truth.
But yeah.
And I think that Destiny, Sergeant Samet was a nightmare. And she was the safe prison. She was the Prius sergeant. Why are you acting? What?
Because the Prius sergeant on women's prisons doesn't have a lot to do.
Right. And they're feared and stressed out about more than the fucking warden.
Yes. Yes.
And why were they doing all that? Why are you doing compliance checks? Why are you coming in and doing compliance with the dorm? Why?
When our Prius sergeant would walk in the dorm, we would yell code red, because everybody from the day room would get up and go to your cubicle, because you didn't want that lady going in your cubicle, because no matter what, she was going to find something, no matter how in compliance you were. Lisa's asking for the bill numbers.
Here we go. Are you Lisa for the temperature control?
Is that what you're talking about, Lisa, for temperature control? Are you talking about the voting bill numbers that we were talking about earlier? And actually, Lisa, I'll email you our Lioness priorities that we're watching. But the voting bill numbers is Senate Bill 631, and that's with Senator Eckhart. And then she wants them all. And so we don't have time to say them all right now, but I'll message them. And if anyone else is just really interested in knowing what we're following and knowing some of our priorities, the priorities that we shared with our legislators, you can message us and we'll email it. It's too much for us. It's a packet. Girl, we got to hope we're all professional logo and everything. Yeah, no, it's several pages. So front and back and
I
everything.
need to put it on our website.
Yes, great idea. Great idea. Yeah. Danica, if you weren't here for the first part of our podcast, make sure you go back and listen to it. Honey, we're at our hour.
We're at our hour.
Because it gives an update about the heat lawsuit.
Listen to the first part of this.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, for hanging out with us, for dealing with our craziness tonight. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for being here for us and for each other. Thank you for commenting, sharing the live. Girl, sharing the live. And all of the good things that you all do. If you're listening wherever you hear your favorite podcasts, please do leave us a review. We appreciate you so much. And yeah, stay tuned to On the Rec Yard for lots of good and bad stories about Texas prisons. And we will see you all next week, same time, same place, right here on the Rec Yard. And peace out. Thank y'all for hanging out with us on the Rec Yard Women's